So before we talk about discriminant, we need to talk about real numbers and complex numbers again. So let me just draw a picture. So we have real numbers. You may remember what real numbers are. I talked about at the very beginning of the unit when we talked about complex numbers. What's an example of a real number? 1. 1 is an example. Anything else?
-7.
-7. So what other numbers might we have? All whole numbers are in there?
It's 7.
Yes, decimals. Any decimal is in there. Any fraction is in there. So really, all the numbers that you knew about until you came into this class. What's the new number that I talked to you about in this class? Yes, I. Good. So for example, 5 plus 2i would be a complex number. So they include the real numbers, but they also have i's. There. Does that make sense? Remember that when we first talked about that? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the discriminant today, b squared minus 4ac. Anybody recognize where that comes from? Yeah, it comes from the quadratic formula. Specifically, the part that is underneath the square root. Okay, so if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, if it's positive, so for example, if we had the square root of 25, any positive number there, we're going to get 2 possible answers because of this plus or minus here. It's going to be a plus and a minus. So it's going to be 2 real numbers if that discriminant is positive. So it's going to, and I'm going to write it as 2 real roots. Those answers or solutions would be 2 real roots or solutions. So what if the b squared minus 4ac, what's inside that square root is 0? What's the square root of 0? 0. Can it be positive or negative? It can't. So when we have that, it's the case it's going to be 1 real root or solution. You can use the word root or solution there. And then the third scenario would be if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. So that means that it's negative. Okay, so if what's inside that square root is negative, what happens? Yeah, that's right. If that part of it is going to be imaginary, so it's going to be complex. So square root negative 37, for example. It's going to be a 2 complex roots. Because the square root of a negative gives us an imaginary part. And so remember that complex is a real part plus an imaginary part. The 5 is the real part, the 2i, imaginary part. So that's an example. Does that make sense? Okay, let's do some examples. Anybody still looking at this? So we'll have you look at this. Okay, you want to find the value of the discriminant. I'm not gonna do number 2. Let's do number 3. Is number 3 in standard form? It's not. So we need to first get it in standard form. What do we do to get that in standard form? Add 2. And we get 7n squared. So does it matter where I add the 2? Could I add it to the -4n or the 1? Only its like term. So we want to add it to the 1. So it's 7n squared minus 4n plus 1 is 0. So what are my A, B, and C? A is 7, B is -4, and C is 1. So we want to find just the B squared minus 4AC, the discriminant. So we're going to substitute these numbers into the discriminant here. So when I put the -4 into the B squared, do I need to put parentheses around it or no? So let's talk about this. Is -4 squared and -4 squared, are those the same thing? They're not. This one gives me 16, and this one gives me -16. I need to take the square of B, which is -4, so I have to put parentheses around that. So make sure you're putting parentheses around that. And then -4 times A, which is 7, and C, which is 1. So feel free to get a calculator if you want. Get up and get a calculator. If you don't have one, right at your desk. I'm happy to let you do that. And so we get 16 minus 28, which equals what? -12. So we get a negative number there. That's our discriminant. We put a D or DSC. That's part of our answer. Oh, actually, that's all we're finding here on this one. So the discriminant is -12. That makes sense? So really not, that this part of it is pretty easy, but now we're going to go on to the questions where we have 2 parts to it. Now we're going to find the discriminant and then state the number and type of solutions. So is this in standard form, number this one here? Yeah. So what are A, B, and C? C is 4. So now we're going to substitute it into the B squared minus 4AC. And so we would have a -8. Do I need to put parentheses around the -8 when I square it? Yes, because I need to square the -8. Minus 4 times 4 times 4. So I get 64 minus 64, which is 0. So that's my discriminant. And then this time I need to state the number and type of solutions. And type. So since I got the discriminant is 0, what does that mean about my solutions? There's one real solution because it's equal to 0. The square root of 0 is 0. It's not positive or negative, so that's one real root. One real solution. So you have 2 parts to your answer on this one. What the discriminant is and the number and type of solutions. Not too hard. Okay, what about number 5? Is that in standard form? No. Okay, so what do we do to get it in standard form? So we could, in this case, we could minus the 6n. I'm going to make it so that my A is positive, so I'm going to add 4n squared. For the discriminant, it's not going to make a difference. And we get 0 equals, what goes first, the 4n squared or the 6n? 4n squared plus 6n plus 10. And so, Nate, what are my A, B, and C? So now we're going to find our B squared minus 4AC. squared minus 4 times 4 times 10. That's 36 minus 160, which is negative 124. Let me double check my math. Is that right? Negative 124? Yeah, thank you. So negative 124. So what does that mean about the number and type of solution since I get a negative for the discriminant? Two complex roots. Why complex on this one? I know that on E equals Y. Yes. That's right, because it's a negative. So if we took the square root of a negative, that's going to give us an I there. So that's why we get the complex roots on this one. Does that make sense? So number 6, is that in standard form? Nope. So to get it in standard form, we subtract 2x. And we get 10x squared. Plus 7x minus 6 is 0. Hello, tell me what A, B, and C are. Good. So now we want to find b squared minus 4ac by substituting the a, b, and the c in there. And so we get 7 squared minus 4 times 10 times negative 6. This gives us 49 minus negative 240, which equals what? 289. So what does that mean in terms of our number and type of solutions? Two real solutions. Because it's positive, it's 2 real roots or solutions. Doesn't matter whichever word you want to use. Okay, go ahead and do the U-try. Do the U-try. We'll make sure you understand it.
Beautiful.
Feel free to fold your paper in half if you don't want other people to see it. If you want to keep it private. Can I get somebody to pass out the worksheets? Thank you. You done?
I don't know what's about to say $1.95. James, I give him $2 and food. So I think it's us.
Yeah, I would have said that. I would have said that. That would help.